everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome back to a new tutorial. It's me, IG, and I'm back with a new tutorial. If today is your first time of stopping, you are welcome. So guys, today we are going to DIY this trending flounce that you can attach to an asymmetric top. So that is what I want us to DIY. It's very simple to understand and to achieve. So guys, let's get to the working table. So now guys, I've prepared the gown that I'm going to attach this flounce to. This is the gown that I'm going to attach the flounce to. I've finished making it, so the next thing is to attach it. So I want to show to you guys how you can achieve it. If you want to know how I make this gown, the video is also on the channel. You can check it out. So now, after making your cloth, you now take your tape to measure where you have to attach it. So it goes across the under bust. So we are going to measure it. So from where, anywhere you can start immediately after the under bust or before the under bust or on the under bust. But I'm going to start 3 inches away from the under bust. So you take your tape, you place it, then you now measure what you have. You go through this, you measure it, and you come to the sleeve. You now measure the opening of the sleeve. Do you see it? You now measure the opening of the sleeve you are working with. Do you see it? You measure it. After measuring, what I have is 33 inches. I can go on to cut 35 or 40. After placing it, I'll now take away what I don't need. So it's better to have excess than to have shortage. So now, this 33 inches, you are going to divide it by the normal method of dividing a circle, because you can achieve this by creating a flounce or cutting it as a circle that we always cut. So now I'm going to use the method of circle. So now this 33 inches, we are going to divide it, but I want to show to you guys with this paper how to cut it, after which I will now cut exactly what I want. Let's say that the radius, you know, the radius is what you have, the measurement of what you have divided by 6.28. Whatever you have is your radius. Let's assume that the radius we are working with is 2 inches. So this is our 2 inches. We mark on our 2 inches. And remember how to fold to get your flay is to take your material, fold it in 2, and also fold it again. You have 4 of it, and on the edge here you will start taking your measurement. So now the radius we are working with is 2 inches, so I'm going to mark at 2 inches round. Do you see it? This is the radius. That is what you are going to use to attach the one to attach to the main cloth. So that is the radius. So now what's the length you want your flay to be? Let's assume that we want our flay to be 6 inches. So now we are going to mark at 6 inches after the radius of 2 inches. So we now mark at 6 inches. Do you see it? We mark at 6 inches all through. So if you put it all together from this end, you are going to have 8 inches. Do you see it? So now let us cut it out. So we are cutting first the radius. And also we are cutting the length. Remember, on the length you have to add your allowance to turn it. So this is the way to cut our circle. Do you see it? This is the way to cut our circle. Do you see it now? So now you are going to open it up from one end. So now we open it up from one end. Do you see it? So this is our circle now. Do you see it? It's our circle. That is what we are working with. So now the next thing you have to do is to trim this flay. You are not going to attach it like this. When you attach it like this, it's not going to be like what we now have on the screen. So what you are going to do is to start reducing it. So let us check. So for instance, this is 6 inches. Remember, we started with 6 inches. We will now leave it at 6 inches. We will now come to this folded edge. We go with 5 inches. That is, we have reduced 1 inch now. Then when we come to the other folded edge, we reduce it to 4 inches. When we now go to the other edge, we reduce it to 3 inches. Do you see it? We now reduce it to 3 inches. But remember, if you are going to add a crinoline to it, make sure that the crinoline is going to be smaller than the measurement that you are taking. Your crinoline, put it in consideration before you now take your final measurement, so that it will not start coming out or being uncomfortable to the person. So now we are going to connect it. So when you connect it now, do you see we are connecting it to the one that we are now so you connect it, and this is not the 5, and you now go down. So on this side we have our 6 inches, and on this side we have 3 inches. So let's cut it out. See it now. So this is what we are going to have. But remember, it's not going to be so pointed in this form. So you can curve it. So we are going to curve it a bit. But while curving it, remember to consider your crinoline. So now we are going to curve it in this form. So we now cut it out. Do you see it? So we now have what we are going to now attach to it. So this is what the panel, this is the draft that we are going to use to cut out the flounce that we are going to attach to this cloth. So I'm going to now cut it out. I'm going to cut 4 pieces out. 2 is for the main cloth and 2 is for the lining. I'm using the cloth also for the lining. So this is what I'm going to cut out now on my material, and I'll use my crinoline. Like I said, I'll consider what I'm going to cut out. The crinoline I have is 3 inches, so I'm going to consider it. So now I'm going to use this method to cut out my flounce. You can cut it out as the flounce. The tutorial is also on my channel. You can check it out if you want to cut it as a flounce. But if you are using a crinoline, it's better to cut it as a circle, the way we cut out our circle. So I'm going to do that now. Sew it together and come back for us to attach it to our gown. Now guys, I have sewn our flounce. Do you see it? I cut out 4 pieces like I said, and I added a hard gum stay to it, and I close it up. And this is our crinoline that I said I also added it. Do you see it? So now the next thing to do is to fix it to our material, but I'll also sew the two together. So let me show to you guys how I'm going to fix it. So this is my gown. This is my gown. Do you see it? That's the gown I'm making. So now I'm going to take it. Let me take one to show to you guys, but it's going to be the 2 of them I'm going to attach. So I'm going to attach it in this form. Do you see it? To cover up the rough edges, I'm going to attach it from where I measured. So I'm going to put it in this form. Do you see it? And I'll attach it, and I'll come to the sleeve. So I'm going to do it now and put it on the mannequin for us to. Guys, this is the final look of our flounce that we have just DIY. Do you see it? So beautiful, so lovely. You can decide to tack it here so that it will be open. Do you see it? Or with the crinoline and the hard gum stay, it stands very good. And this gown also, if you want to know how I achieved this, like I said earlier, the tutorial is on the channel. You can check it out. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. For now, bye.